Okay, well, hello. Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys in a good condition. So it's our start
Good
this
evening.
discussion in it. With the title of this discussion is Psycholinguistics. So if you excuse that, I will be the first talker. So talk about psycholinguistics in my understanding. In my understanding. Oh my God. So so far, what I read about psycholinguistics is the study about, the cognitive processes that support acquisition, comprehension, and production of language. That this process, contain our multilingual and also monolingual people that use this both kind of language. And if I'm not mistaken, there are two major factors that shape the change in psycholinguistic field. The first one is the experience of variation language that always be the rule rather than exception. It's because most of people, majority around the world is the multilingual in it. We learn more than two languages and at least two language. And sometimes and for us especially that sometimes we shows that learning the second language is not that is it's not as hard as what people expecting from us. And the next the another what we talk about factors is that the methods that always the same methods through the years. And also there are two variation in language experience that no, not two variations actually. Some variations in language experience is that the goal of the characterized variation in language is to understand how linguistics experience shape both linguistics and cognitive processing. And also, there the variation of people who are bilingual and also monolingual. That's the age or the ability for reading and writing in the second or in the first language. Also people who are just monolingual also different because if I'm not mistaken, it's really hard to find the real monolingual people right now because uh, sometimes because of the modernization in our world today, in our language today, and also the environmental language that affect us, especially us as English student department who our daily conversation use two languages like Indonesia and English. And it we do or we speak English with our lecturer or some friends, and we also speak Indonesian with also some people in our environment. It really affects us. And also, the interesting part, this dual language activation, it's when we talk in our first language, sometimes there is no interference from our second language. Like um, you speak in Indonesian, we barely interfere by our English language, right? But when we talk in English language, we sometimes mix it with our Indonesian language. So it also happen in some lexical, syntax, and phonological aspects. Like maybe in phonological is when like the pronunciation of some words that have similarities with our pronunciation, or maybe we have the wrong pronunciation when pronounced our second language. And in syntax, like maybe in the the arranged world. Like sometimes we arrange our second language words with our first language grammar use. Like it's kind of different, right? And I think there is all I can talk about psycholinguistics, because actually I cannot remember all the thing that I read in the books that we used to. So maybe I hand over it to the next speaker, maybe. Thank you. Who's gonna be the second speaker? Is how you want to, or
I can be the second speaker.
okay? For
Okay.
Sophia, time is yours.
Okay, this is my chance to explain my comprehension about the psycholinguistics in Introduction to Applied Linguistics. So, psycholinguistics is like the cognitive process in the requiring an acquisition and also our processing of language where we receive it into our daily life. As we all know, the we use language every day in our life, and um, sometimes we unrealize that we know two languages. So it is means like we are the bilinguals, but in the psycholinguistics, we will discuss about the some receptions of our cognitive and language experience, uh, how about the monolingual and multilingual and also the bilingual of language. So as I said before, uh, we we will seldom to find the monolingual person because there are globalization today, and it brings the foreign language comes into our life, and we are interested to learn the new language or the foreign language, and after that we are as learners of that language. So it can be said we are the bilingual person because we can speak and we can understand two language in our life. So there are some methods that can be identified that the person or someone is monolingual, multilingual, or bilingual. It is through the, if I'm not mistaken, the first is the history questions. History questions is we ask the person about, um, we ask the person about from what age they learn the language, and also from where they know the language, and why they like to decide to learn that language. It is talk about the history of reason of the person want to being the bilingual or want to learn the new language, and also in in our when we are a child or when we are a baby, we have our mother tongue, which means we have our own language. It calls we are the monolingual person. But after that, around age 12 or after we enter to school, we hear the another language, and also we are interested to learn it. So it can be called we are the bilingual person. But the historical questions is not enough to identify that, to prove that the person is a bilingual characteristic. So there are another supporting methods that can be used to do the analyze or the observe first. So the first is the semantic. linguistics fluency, if I'm not mistaken, it is like the text. We will have some text where if we will be given a word, so we should explain the word. Uh, as for example animals, so we should say what animals that we know in the language. And also the next one is the lexical fluency. The lexical fluency means like we will give us a letter fluency. Letter fluency, it means like we will give a letter such as a, so we should say the word or vocabularies that be have the beginning letter is A. And also the next one is the pictures text, if I'm not mistaken. It is like we will be shown the pictures of things, and we should say what the names of the pictures. So psycholinguistics is very important to our language, especially as a learner of the foreign language, because there are some linguistic features we use here, such as lexicon, phonology, syntax, and also semantic and etc. The linguistic aspects. So it's very useful for us to apply the linguistic in the psycholinguistics. So I think that's all my comprehension about the psycholinguistics. So we can go on to the next speaker. Who's gonna be the next?
Can I talk?
Okay, sure.
Uh, in my opinion, psycholinguistic is a way thinking about how people learn and comprehend language. The main goal of psycholinguistics is to characterize variation in language experiences in order to easily understand how a person's linguistic experience shape linguistic and cognitive processes. Psycholinguistics is primarily concerned with the acquisition and processing of language. Research on language acquisition typically concentrates on young children who are picking up the first language. Research on language processing usually concentrates on adult language users and comprehenders. But this is challenging in endeavor since in addition to individual differences, language experiences can vary over time and rely on multitude of internal and external circumstances. Even within a single language, monolingual users differ in their proficiency since not all of them have the same amount of vocabulary, are equally skilled readers, or are exposed to text and speech with the same level of complexity. As the globe grows more interconnected and foreign language instruction become mandatory for schools, there are fewer and less true monolingual speakers in the modern world. In reality, many persons who are labeled as monolingual are just somewhat proficient in multiple languages. The fact the environmental language context has been demonstrated to influence linguistic processing and ought to be regarded as a significant component of language experience only serve to further complicate issues. The language history questionnaire is a common tool for assessing someone's language proficiency. Participant is the questionnaire answer question about the language they are learning, how old they were when they learn it, how proficient they are in it, and about their experiences. This questionnaire is meant to give background information regarding an individual's linguistic experience. In addition to this question, there are other methods such as completing online laboratory tests that make use of several facts of language processing skill. Verbal fluency is a commonly employed tool for evaluating language skills and lexical access. Semantic and letter fluency are the two categories of verbal fluency that are most frequently employed. The paradigm known as syntactic or structural priming is employed to identify cross-linguistic impact. The propensity for someone to repeatedly use newly learned syntactic structures is known as syntactic priming. Many studies have been conducted on monolingual users syntactic priming. That's all from me. What's next? What's next?
I can go next. So this is my understanding of psycholinguistic. So in my opinion, psycholinguistic is to study about the connection between brain and language. Also, the discipline that describe the psychological process that make humans use language. So it's like we have to think about what we gonna say about it, about something, so about language. So it's like how we can use language and how to learn language. And also, psycholinguistic is the search for knowledge and understanding of how humans acquire, generate, modificate, and also receive the language. And it helps us to understand the way people process language and understand their thought, emotions, and behavior. So when we, for example, when our friend talk about something but with bad language, we can know that their behavior is their attitude, their behavior is kind of bad. But the other way, the other side, when they use a good language, we gotta know that that people is a good guy or good woman or something, and people gonna learn about language behavior. And also, when they want to talk about something, they have to think about it first. So it's like they have to use their critical thinking for not to make a misunderstanding and miscommunication to other people. So I think that's all that I remember about the psycholinguistic. Thank you so much. So who next? Who's next?
Okay, I'm gonna be the last speaker in our discussion today. Uh, Before that, uh, can you see? Can you see? Can you hear my sound clear, guys?
Yes, your voice is so enough
Yes, we
clear.
can.
So, like you guys said before. So, in my opinion, in other opinion, psycholinguistic is the study of the cognitive processes, like you guys said before, right? That support the acquisition, comprehension, and production of language in our brain. So, psycholinguistic is the study of the uh, mental processes that underlie language use. It examines how humans acquire, produce, understand, and process the language in their brain. And, basically, they uh, investigate this process in healthy monolingual or native speakers whose performance is taken to reflect universal principles applied by by all language users, and variation in language experience. People's experiences with language vary greatly, right? And these experiences can influence how
how they process language. For example, people who are bilingual or multilingual may have different brain structure each other, right? And cognitive processes than people who only speak one language. Um, in bilingual or multilingual individuals, both languages are typically activated to some extent uh, whenever they hear or see language. So this can lead to interference between the two languages, such as when a person accidentally says a word from one language in a sentence from another language. Uh, so if I'm wrong, in history, about history, in the last 2 decades, psycholinguistic studies have transformation, and there are two vectors that influence this change. And the factor first is that variation in language experience is now seen as the rule rather than the exception. Uh, it can be it can be seen that no more no more people in the world are bilingual or multilingual. It's mean no people can speak more than one language. So the second factor relates the relates to the methods used to investigate language learning and language processing. And I want to talk about uh, language selections. When a bilingual or multilingual person want to speak, they must select which language to use. This to our brain to work to produce this language. So this process is influenced by a number of factors such as the context of the situation and the listener's language and the speaker's own goals. What else? I think the main purpose of psycholinguistics is to characterize variation in language experience to better understand how linguistic experience shapes how language experience shape linguistic and cognitive processes. To understand the effect of individual variation on language and cognitive processing, I think we must understand the language experiences of the individual under study. Uh, now, the next, like a fundamental goal of psycholinguistic research is to what we call precisely characterize language experience and compare how various experience relate to linguistic and cognitive processing. So, the evidence demonstrating the profound impact of early language exposure uh, interactive environmental language context and second language learning uh, second language learning uh, on several aspects of linguistic and cognitive processing is reviewed. Um, so the next, I think I want to talk about cognitive issues and language, and how language processing. So the problem is in psycholinguistic, how to help us to communicate with other people. But in the problem or cognitive issues in psycholinguistic itself, such as this aphasia, which is a language disorder that can result from stroke or injury, can impair people's ability to process language and how to communicate with other people's they can't. So people with aphasia may have difficulty understanding speech and producing speech or reading and writing. So by studying this area, psycholinguistic can help us to better understand the complex relationship between the brain and language. Uh, I think uh, uh, I think the point about psycholinguistic, in my opinion, is understand the complex relationship between the brain and language. Uh, that's all from me. I
Okay.
think
Okay, so we have tell our own arguments or our own understanding of the psycholinguistics, and then yeah,
yes.
in the language selection, so it depends on where we are, because when we are in English, so we will speak in English. When we are in French, so we will speak in French. It is depends on our environment. So do you guys have an additional comprehension about the psycholinguistics, or is enough?
I
Okay.
think our discussion tonight in our each perspective about psycholinguistic, and I think we have a own understanding about it, and yeah.
Okay. So that's our understanding about the psycholinguistics. So thank you so much for our discussion tonight. So okay,
Okay, guys.
okay, bye.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank
about
you.
your understanding about psycholinguistic.
You're welcome, guys. So I
Thank
will
you so much.
Thank you.
stop the recording. Okay.